We've been drinking too much, man.
Howdy out there, all our goats and cookies followers. Welcome to the show. We are on episode 9 here. We're rolling through, and we're glad to have you all. Of course, as always, like, share, subscribe, follow, do what you got to do to stay up to date with me, Kev, and of course Zach, and all the gang that decides to show up and join us for these episodes. So today is kind of a we're gonna talk about a few things in the Marine Corps, but it's just gonna be kind of a back and forth between me and Kev. We haven't really done an episode like this yet, where it's just Kev and I, and we're kind of going back and forth. So really diving into it, people think that the Marine Corps is all rules and structure and discipline, and yeah, that is a part of it. But the longer you're actually out there and the more you start making your own little world to kind of stay sane, right? I think every Marine can say that they've done that. I'm sure they have. Everyone has their own little stupid, jokes and phrases, graffiti, rituals, maybe stupid traditions. And a lot of that happens out in the war zone. None of it's official and none of it's planned, but somehow it sticks. But that's what we're talking about today, field expedient culture. So we'll start with it. What field expedient culture is. When I say field expedient culture, I mean all the stuff Marines create on their own. Dumb sayings, graffitis, inside jokes, the rituals that nobody briefed you on, nobody prepared you for. They didn't. It wasn't in your little green handbook. They didn't teach you in boot camp. It's something that you kind of learn along the way, and not necessarily learn, but create on your own. I will say this: I've never met some of the most. I've never met any more like creative people than I met in my time in the Marine Corps. It's not doctrine. Nobody teaches it. Nobody teaches it. Nobody signs off on it. But if you were there, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And as we're talking about this, I'm sure it's going to click in your mind, like what things you did while you were over there. Um, and so, why does it exist, right? I think war in general strips away all normal life, right? Like it's not a normal environment for anybody to be in. Seeing people die is not a normal thing for us. I know people will say, war and stuff is just in human DNA, but there's nothing to really solidify that other than maybe all the history of human existence and war. But it's not a normal way of life, and especially not in today's society, right? So you lose those routines, the comfort and the privacy, and sometimes even your sense of self. And that includes while you're in the military, say before you go on your first deployment or your first time in combat. Um, when you're back in garrison here in the States, you've got your routines, right? And it's very much like sort of a work environment, right? Aside from, getting up at 5 o'clock to PT in the morning, Um, and of course, the Marine Corps is essentially becomes your whole life, or a big chunk of it. Um, so, anyways, during these times, where all that's been stripped away, Marines replace it with humor, repetition, and nonsense that makes life make sense again, right? Sort of maybe brings us back to a sense of normalcy. It's not necessarily immaturity, but it's survival. So this is an interesting thing for us because Kevin and we have our own instances of, um, field expedient culture. And the name of this podcast is Goats and Cookies, which is a part of it. And there's another part that, unless you watched maybe Zach's series on YouTube, which I strongly suggest you all check that out. Um,
I'll put a link in the comments.
yeah. So you wouldn't have heard yet so far on this podcast about Blood Through the Window. So we'll start with Goats and Cookies. When Goats and Cookies came out of Iraq, working with Iraqi soldiers, having a plethora of Girl Scout cookies at our disposal that came from like care packages and stuff like that. And a goat getting slaughtered for dinner, and we'll get into all of that. And then Blood Through the Window was our death metal band. Me on guitar broom, and then Kev using a pistol as a microphone.
My M9 Beretta brand microphone.
So nothing serious, but everything mattered. So I want to kind of stop here and talk a little bit about this with you, Kev. Let's start with Goats and Cookies. Let's talk of maybe what we remember from that particular day that we came up with it. And it's going to be interesting here too, because I have very vague memories of it. But I think as we get talking, we'll kind of land on, maybe as close to what actually happened as possible. I think most people that talk to their old buddies about things that happened in the past start to like, nah, that you might like have always thought something happened, and then they're like, no, man, it didn't happen that way. It actually happened this way, and you're like, oh yeah, it happened that way. So, anyways, Kev, let's talk about Goats and Cookies.
So, okay. So, so we made a short, or not a short, but a shorter video of you explaining to Ken during one of our previous interviews about what actually Goats and Cookies was. And I was watching it and I was like, yeah, this all tracks, but it's not that I remember it differently necessarily. It's that it was 20 years ago, 21 years ago now. uh, about. And, man, 21 years is a long fucking time. And, I'm almost 42 now, I am not going to say my mind's slipping at all, but my mind's kind of slipping and I'm a drunk. So it doesn't help at all.
You're past. You're
That was a
past.
lot of marijuana ago.
See, a lot of people always think like middle age is 50. I'm like, how many 100-year-olds do you know?
Well, that
Right? The
said,
average life
also,
expectancy is in the 70s, so we're past middle age there, bub.
if you go in the Marine Corps, this is kind of my way of thinking. If you go in the Marine Corps, your mentality stops. You age half a year for every year that you live in the Marine Corps. So I mean, when I medically retired at 28, 29 years old, I was in my early 20s. I was maybe 22, 23 at tops. But your body ages twice as quickly. So, to include your brain. I mean, we're like if you retire or get out of the Marine Corps at 28, 29 years old, you're basically a fucking 40-year-old at that point. So what does that make me now? Like, I'm trying not to go political with this.
Hmm. Well, I'll say this. I
Make
will
me a
say this.
senile bastard.
I'll say this. I'll chime in on here. Like, I'm right there with you. I just turned 41, but so I'm a little. I got some youth on you. But
Half a year.
but it's so interesting because I remember, being in our 20s. Both of you and I are in Iraq were 20. I think you turned 21 in Iraq with
Yeah, I
me.
was 21 by the time we met. I
By
turned
the time we
21
met,
in
yeah,
March.
yeah,
Yeah, but I was in Iraq on my 21st birthday.
yeah. And for those kind of like a quick back brush story here, Kevin and I were both in the same area of operation, right? I was directly embedded with 3rd Battalion, 2nd Marines, which is what they were doing with us, combat correspondence. But for the combat camera guys, they were all up at the regimental level, at the RCT, and they would go down to all the different units. So they weren't necessarily tied down to any one unit. They go with one unit for 3 weeks, a month, or whatever, come back, and then go to another one. And I kind of wish I had that kind of maneuverability. I ended up kind of getting a little bit of that with the operation that Kevin and I ended up being on, actually, because one of the other correspondents was off on another operation at the time and could not be there for this Operation Sword that we were on in late June, early July. And I had just gotten off of another operation with 3-2, come back, and then they're like, "Hey, you're gonna go with McCall." I had not really met. I met Kev in passing at this point, right before another operation back in May, um, called Operation Matador. We had just met in passing. So this would be the first time that he and I really got to know each other. And that's sort of the backstory on what we're going to talk about. But tying back into like the whole like age and how the Marine Corps will physically age you and mentally keep you frozen in time. Um, I remember now, now that now that I'm 41, I remember being in our 20s and looking at like, you'd see a sergeant major that was like 38 that looked like he was fucking 60.
That
And
old
you're like, how old are you? And I'm 38 years young.
with a cane.
But it'd be more like, I'm 38 years young. So yeah, it's really interesting, and they're walking bow-legged and shit, and it's like, damn, man, the military beats your ass
Yeah.
and definitely send you out. So hey, veterans out there, make sure you put in for your goddamn disability because they do beat the hell out of us, and it's just a small little price that they need to pay for the shit they put us through. So that's my saying on that. That's my quick little run on that. Kev, I'll let you get back to what you were talking about.
Oh, where was I? I'm sorry.
I know I
That
cut
was
you off
great,
on
and I
that.
loved it. So I forgot completely where I was going.
Yeah, no, 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 no. We were starting to get into the goats and cookies
Okay. Yeah,
part of
yeah,
this.
yeah. So I remember us, as you said in the video that I posted before. I remember we would always fuck with whoever was around us. We would mess with the 325 guys, which I got to add in props to 325. I worked with a lot of reservists, and I'm not going to talk bad about them, but 325 was one of the best units to include all of the active duty units that I ever worked with. Those guys were as we would say shit hot. And I mean they were just a badass fucking line unit. They never did anything wrong. They were always professional. But they were always relaxed in a way that we felt like
Yeah.
we could be ourselves. And I think that kind of bred goats and cookies. It kind of bred blood through the window as well, which we'll touch on later. But I remember one day there was one of the ISF soldiers, the Iraqi Security Forces, which was the precursor to the Iraqi Army after the constitutional elections in, I think it was July, maybe a little later in the year. I'm pretty sure it was July though. And I think we were on Operation Sword in May. It was it May?
No, it was the end of June, early July, because
Okay.
all
So
of my I have a July 4th story that's out there
okay, so
publicly.
right after were probably the constitutional elections, right after our operation. And
Either right after or just like a month or so later.
I'm going to put an overlay right here in the video so everyone can see me carving into a wall the saying. And if you look at my neck, you look at my hair, you look at my face, you can see a coat of fucking disgusting filth. We hadn't showered in I think 3, 4 weeks at the time. We were just disgusting, miserable, and we were looking for ways to kind of entertain ourselves. A quick side story before I really delve in on the goats and cookies. There was a time I remember how disgusting and miserable I felt, and we were on a patrol, a combat patrol, and we were pushing through the city, and something happened way forward. Someone approached our squad, so they were talking to the squad leader, and we were in a tactical column. And at this point, we were in the tactical column. We weren't kind of falling in the center with the squad leader, and we stopped. And I just took a knee. And I remember I was kind of looking around, just minding my own business, kind of watching the rooftops, watching the alleyways, and I saw this little kid not 5 feet from me eating an ice cream cone. And I was like, I want one of those. So I looked at him and I pointed at the ice cream cone and I was like, win, 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 which means where. Win means where in Arabic or in Iraqi Arabic anyway. I've spoken Arabic, Iraqi Arabic in other countries like Dubai and Jebel Ali and they all look at me like I have a dick coming out of my forehead because it's like a Southerner going to New York and it's trying to spike English. They look at you like you're weird. But I was like, win, win, win. And he kind of pointed behind him, and I just broke. I broke ranks. I'm not ashamed to admit it. I went inside. I had $2 in my pocket. I pulled my $2 out, and I was like, two of those ice cream cones, and it was lime flavored goat milk ice cream. And man, I got two of them, and I walked across. I walked across the street, and I handed one to Lou, and that was the best ice cream I've ever had in my life. Anyway. So while we were with this unit, it was a very professional unit, but as I said, it was kind of relaxed in a very personal kind of way. So when we were like bivouac for the night, everyone was chill. They all had personal lives that that was their primary life, whereas Lou and I were active duty, so that was our personal life. And it kind of, I think it facilitated us opening up to one another in ways that it wouldn't have before. Plus, Lou and I have a lot, very similar political values, and personal values and goals and priorities. So anyway, back to the story. We would fuck with everyone and ask the dumbest questions. And over time, those questions kind of narrowed down to, hey man, like, what do you get into? What do you do for fun? And we would ask the Marines this, and we would also ask the ISF members, the Iraqi security forces. And I remember we were just really dogging on these guys, and we would ask them, hey. So what do you get into? You like to drink, huh? And they'd be like, no, 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 no drink, no drink, no drink. And I'd be like, well, you don't drink beer? Why don't you drink beer? And they'd be like, no, no whiskey, because beer is whiskey, whiskey is beer. Any alcohol is whiskey in Iraq. Um, that was their American term that they knew. And we would throw that at them and be like, okay, okay, okay. Well, how about hashish? Hashish. Do you smoke some hashish? And they'd be like, no, 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 no. Saddam had outlawed all of this stuff. It was like you
Yeah.
would get killed for drinking, you would get killed for smoking. Go ahead.
I do want to point out this is all one interaction like that's happening
Yeah,
at one time, right?
yeah.
Like just a quick
We had narrowed
conversation.
it down to this
And it
point.
was it was a back and forth where like I would ask a question, Kev would ask a question. You felt like you were on the hot seat, I think. Just having been on the reverse side of that when people were fucking with me. And that's really where it kind of came from. I think at that point, both Kevin and I were like settled in. Both of us had seen, um, you know, some combat action ahead before all this, and then had been with the infantry for how many months at this point? What, 5, 6,
Yeah, like 6 months.
and so had already felt sort of comfortable and started to like kind of come into our own where it's like I'm gonna fucking start standing up for myself. It's no these fuckers can't like just make fun of me because I got a fucking camera and I write stories. I'm gonna make fun of you for the stereotypical shit, which isn't necessarily always true, but like
With your
being dumb.
60 GT score. I didn't make fun of them for
Yeah,
that.
right.
I had like a 115 GT score. Fuck
Yeah.
it.
I would joke typically with the saw gunners, and I'm like, you got the heavy shit, dude. They give the dumbest people the heavy shit.
Well, speaking of heavy shit, man, I carried like I had two camera kits, a video kit, a R-Beacon satellite, a Panasonic Toughbook, all the batteries for everything. I think I was carrying more weight than a saw gunner,
Yeah.
unfortunately.
And now I make again I make no I'm not like grandizing myself in any way. I am very much aware that at my heart I'm a fucking pogue, and I will. Hey, I'm pogue proud, man. I'm forever fucking pogue. But I got to live the life of a grunt, so and be a part of a unit and a squad really at this point because they had taken me in as one of their own. I mean, it's a big freaking deal, man. I think anybody that
You have
any
to
of
earn
the
that.
yeah, any of the 0311 guys out there or any of the 03 guys out there would understand what a big deal that kind of is, especially to take in a pogue. What? But they saw me and Kev out there doing the same stuff that they were doing. If it was a patrol, we're going on patrol. We're gonna fall into formation too. We'll be taking pictures along the way, but we're falling into formation. I did all my interviews, with the Marines on, during downtime. I'm like, hey man, dude, I saw you out there getting it, dude. Like, you want to be the subject of this story about this operation? Like, oh, I don't know, man. Don't make me sound dumb. And I'm like, it's impossible, bro. Like I try to like butter them up after after bullshitting with them and tearing them down, but especially with Kevin and I, like making fun of them. But yeah, anyways, I think at this point, Kevin and I were comfortable enough to be messing with people, and it was nice to have somebody else with me with a camera. I think Kev can probably say that too,
Yeah,
because we were in it together, right? And we could
yeah.
make sure that we weren't getting walked over. Especially, Kev had already been with 325 a couple times before this particular operation, but I hadn't. I'm brand new to it, but I had to like explain to them too, like this ain't it's not my first rodeo necessarily out here. Like I've been with 3-2 the whole time out here. I've been on patrols. I know, I might not know all your tactical shit, but I'm gonna fall in place. I'm not gonna get in your way, and I'm not gonna get anybody killed. And I think that's that's the biggest ask that they usually typically would ask for.
Like any unit, they were reluctant to have us along. But once they saw our attitudes, I had been with, yeah, like you said, I was at the regimental level, so I had been with everyone that was an RCT2 at in 2005. I'd been with like six different fucking line units at that point. It definitely wasn't my first rodeo. It wasn't even my first combat deployment. Um, I think they were more just kind of blown away at our attitudes. The way we talked to them specifically, whether it was a lieutenant, a captain, a fucking staff sergeant, whoever, we were like, yeah, no. It was no, sir. Yeah, yes, staff sergeant. There was none of that there. We were very much combat oriented, I guess you could say. We were field Marines. I was a shitty garrison Marine. I'll admit that. And I think anyone that ever sees this that knew me as a Marine would be like, yeah, you're a shitbag, dude. But anyone that was ever deployed with me knows that I was a fucking amazing field Marine. I was one of the best combat photographers in the field. In Garrison was a completely different story. I was always in trouble. I was always skating. I was the biggest shitbag, and I'll be the first to admit it. And I want people to recognize that because that is what the Marine Corps is. But when we got to these guys, we were so open and we were so relaxed that I think that they wanted to be like, who are these fucking pogues with us? But they couldn't because they were like, okay, who are these combat Marines? That's right now. How do we even interact with these guys? Because every time they would approach us, we would just be like, we would just fuck with them, like I was saying. So, what we were doing to this ISF guy wasn't uncommon for Lou and I. And what we did to this one specific ISF soldier was a culmination of like a month of us just fucking with Marines, fucking with soldiers when we went out with the Army a couple times, and when we went out with the ISF every single time. So, back to the story. So we were with them, and we were forward in heat and HIT Iraq, and we were talking to this Iraqi ISF soldier, and as I said, we got through the no beer, no weed. And as I said, every kind of alcohol was whiskey. Whether it was rum, it was whiskey. It's like being from the South, everything's Coke. What kind of Coke are you drinking? Mountain Dew. Like I mean, everything is the same shit. So everything was whiskey to them. And as Lou said in the previous video, they were killing a goat for us. Around the corner, it was like up to kind of like in the not in our specific fob because it was a series of blown out houses that we had taken for the night for our bivouac. And I think it was at the next house. But if anyone has ever heard a goat screaming, it sounds like a child. I mean, it's like a blah. And it sounds like a kid just screaming at the top of its lungs, and it's freakish, scary fucking noise. And I was eating you say I was eating Lorna Doones. I don't think I was eating Lorna Doones. The Lorna Doones were in the MREs. We had
No, no,
had
no, no, no. I was saying Girl Scout cookies.
Yeah, we had Girl Scout cookies. We had had like a fucking pallet of Girl Scout cookies donated to us, and it was all, I wished it was like the Samoas. They were the
Samoas.
Samoas at the time.
Samoas are Thin Mints.
Some of the Thin Mints or something good, but it was all those lemon shortbread cookies, and we had fuckloads of those things, and they were everywhere. Everywhere
There
you
was a few of
went.
the peanut butter janks, but they went pretty quick.
The officers probably took those shits.
Fuck yeah,
Those
they
assholes.
did.
But we had these fucking cookies. So I was always like I think I was chowing on those cookies more than anyone I ever saw. Like I always had a box of Girl Scout cookies in my cargo pocket. And I was just pulling out of that shit all day every day. And anytime I saw Girl Scout cookies, I just nabbed them up. Because this was 2005. Everyone was donating to the military. Everyone was still like, United we stand, e pluribus unum, all that, like 9/11 jargon that popped out right after the Twin Towers. Everyone was still fucking confused by it. And like, maybe there were, weapons of mass destruction. Maybe there weren't. Anyway. So I was always chowing on these stupid fucking cookies, and there was this goat. And one way or another, that night, after talking to that ISF soldier, Lou and I came up with no weed, no beer, no whiskey, just goats and fucking cookies. I don't remember the specifics of it. I think Lou, you do. But I remember that night was the night we wrote it, and I'm gonna put it up right here so everyone can see it. We wrote it on the wall with an ink pen. We didn't carve it that night. We wrote it on the wall with an ink pen, and it's actually at the end of every single one of our videos is where we wrote it with the ink pen. I put that at the end with our three pictures, me, you, and Zach, and during the edits. And that was the first time. And then every single night after that, every single night, whenever we would hit bivouac, we would carve it into the wall or write it somewhere with a Sharpie. I remember writing it with a Sharpie a couple times. But we carved it into the wall. That's the photo I'm talking about with I'm just covered in filth that I think I would have shared earlier over and put it overlaid in the video. I'll
And I
probably
do
put
want to
it.
point out these where we were carving it and doing the graffiti. These are not usable buildings.
Yeah, they were
This is
blown
not right.
out.
We're not like in some school in some classroom like doing this shit, right? Like, um, it literally is a bombed out and depleted. What probably was probably something useful at the time before it got bombed out and depleted, but now
Bombed out and depleted. Like
probably couldn't even. Oh, it's
that's
Chappelle, dude. They're like,
yeah,
if we're talking
yeah.
OIF, dude, if we're talking OIF, I think everyone throughout this whole thing will catch these little Chappelle isms
Yeah.
um, for sure. Yeah, bombed out and depleted. I mean, and unrecognizable what the building
Yeah.
probably was. It's like, was this an apartment building or was this, uh, you know, a Payless shoe store? Who knows?
Definitely wasn't a
um,
Payless, but
probably not a Payless, but
I think that first one we were in had been a series of houses that were kind of abutted to one another, similar to a townhouse, but they were all
yeah,
one floor. So for all of you who don't know, the typical Iraqi house was um, it was made of adobe or just sand cement. Sand cement meaning like they didn't have, typical cement. They had sand to work with. There
yeah.
weren't trees. There weren't any, they didn't have quarries that they can go and pull, limestone out of. They had sand. That's what they have. So they built it with sand. And the houses would have a breaker box with one breaker in it that went to the bare light bulb that hung in the main room. And typically there would be a plug in it that they would plug a deep freezer to, and that would
Yeah.
pretty much be the extent of their electricity.
And yeah, and that you would encounter a lot more of that out west.
Yeah.
I think
And Al
anybody in
Anbar.
Baghdad
Yeah.
probably wouldn't really reckon. Like we're out in the like rural area.
Yeah,
for
we're
the
not
most
talking
part.
about
Yeah,
Baghdad. We're not talking about
yeah,
Tikrit. We're talking about Al Anbar, Iraq. Yeah,
yeah.
definitely Al Anbar. No,
And he,
nowhere else.
he, if I had to put like probably like a city comparison to it, would be maybe a small city in the south.
Hmm.
Would probably be the best I could line it up
Very
with.
small city.
Very small city in the south.
In the
Um,
early 1900s.
yeah, like so small in a sense that I mean, Kevin and I were out there for 3 weeks, a little bit over 3 weeks. Did not shower the whole time. That's my record. 21 fucking days, no shower. Oh, that shower was beautiful when we got back. But it was one of those operations that was initially when we were told we were going out, they were like, you'll be out there 3 days to a week. And then they just kept extending it and kept extending it. We're going to do another week. Okay, no, we're going to do another 3 days, and we're going to do 2 days. At that point, Kevin and I were like, fuck it, dude, just drain us like
We're
while
gonna
you're out
die
here.
here.
We're gonna fucking die here, bro. It is fucking July in a fucking like on a Euphrates River fucking city, right? Like he is on the Euphrates River if I
It's
remember right.
close enough, yeah.
And the majority of the population that lives in Al Anbar is on in these little towns and cities along the Euphrates River. Anything else out there, you might get like a little small village here and there, but mostly like
Akashat,
little.
yeah.
You might get a little shack out there of just some introverted Iraqi person just fucking like fuck it, I'm getting off the grid. A
I
grid,
hate a
by the way,
credit
which is
score.
was not like a grid. You know what I mean? But I do want to point out, like on the building part of it, like so you would have like probably five, six, seven, eight, nine of these like little shanties, basically. Damn you people, go back to your shanties. Anybody catch that quote? Put it in the comments. Um, don't tell them. But if you're knowing it, recent Netflix sequel. Um, anyways, next to the all this would be this fucking big ass house, like mansion type. And I wouldn't necessarily call it a mansion. They're probably like a single family home here, like 2 stories. But just 2 stories in itself is like, whoa, okay, like, and you know, there that was like the level of, and it would be somebody that was, Saddam loyalist. Um, and you could tell because we found the money and we found a bunch of shit in there that definitely alluded to them being Saddam loyalists.
Beheading
Um,
videos out the fucking ass. Yeah.
right. So I will say this: if you want a question of where we would choose to go up for the night, typically in one of those types of houses. Uh, and but they're like right next to each other. We're not talking about like gated communities or anything like that. We're talking about shit house, shit house, shit house, shit house, shit house, nice house, shit house, shit house, and there were a few of them with not necessarily central air, but window units or things like that. That was a luxury, of course. So yeah, just kind of showing that sort of I guess disparity or the difference in wealth and um, throughout this portion of the country was something that always stood out to me. But we had definitely taken over like where Kev was talking about earlier with the goats and stuff. It was definitely a well-to-do um, house, and we did pay. We ended up having to pay for the goat, uh, and of course we we pay extra always. um, or CAG did actually at least. But
They pay a lot too.
we as in by the way your American taxpayer dollars. So we did eat the goat and it was actually quite delicious. But
It was amazing.
especially at that point, needing fucking legit protein.
Yeah, we've been eating MREs, and anyone who's eaten MREs for a significant amount of time, knows that after 3 days of eating MREs, you don't shit for another week. It just doesn't happen. So having some actual meat, it helped a lot, and again, if you've watched Zach's videos, which again I'll put a link at the bottom here, if you've watched Zach's videos, and seen my interview, you'll hear some of my shit stories like where I, I had to go. It was one of those MRE shits, as we call them, where you're shitting a literal almost brick, and it's after a week of not being able to, but you're still eating. And all of a sudden you have this like I don't know, it's like a singularity that you have to crap out of your body. It's a black hole where it's just this the most dense mass that you can possibly think of exiting your body. And it's a trauma all on its own. I think most of us have PTSD from just crapping out MRE shit. I think everyone, if you ask like, hey, when any GWAT Marine who deployed, if you ask them, hey, what was your most traumatic MRE shit, we'll all have a story
Yeah.
regarding that. It's
Well,
terrible.
it was interesting too, and I don't we didn't tackle it during the video, but when we were in episode in the special episode that we did, and if you haven't seen that, go back and check that out, where we were at the Marine Corps Museum. They sell MREs there, and I do remember like seeing those and be like, I can smell the aftermath of those, like 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 I could just smell it. Just similar to when we were in the museum and there was that very realistic street scene in Iraq.
Yeah, the Fallujah
All of a
Street.
sudden, that sludge smell on the side, that the sludge that would be on the side of the road and the drainage.
It
Um,
mysteriously doesn't evaporate. Yeah.
nah, well,
Yeah.
because it's just like a 3 inch fucking dug trench
Yeah.
that ain't gonna do shit. I remember putting my knee down on one of that motherfuckers. Oh, I wanted to burn those fucking camis.
Yeah.
I don't think those got washed for like a month, anyways. And I think it was actually during Operation Sword. Um, yeah, this kind of we've kind of covered the goats and cookies things. It just it was one of those things that became sort of Kevin and I's like our mantra, or not necessarily a mantra, right? But just we've all got those little inside jokes with our friends, right? That if you said it around other people, like, what the fuck are you talking about? And we're not, it's made up. Not We're not quoting movie lines here. It's an original, a K Mac and Lou Dog original.
Killer
Uh,
Jake.
Killer Jake. Killer Jake comes along a little bit later.
Yeah.
Actually, well, I mean, a little bit after Operation Sword, but I kind of want to continue a little bit, Kev, on just your overall experience from your perspective on Operation Sword. We were getting plucked away to go to the help out the army when they found like a huge cache of weapons and explosive and ordnance.
Mhm.
Um, so, guide me through your experience on this. I mean, you had already been to Haiti at this point, and now you're here with this little fresh kid, um, who did not have a beard and was maybe 100 or so pounds lighter.
I don't
But
think I could grow a beard at the time. I was pretty young, man. I
I
didn't.
started growing a beard at 12, bro. I hit puberty like the Santa Claus, where he shaves and it just fucking comes out. Yeah, man. So yeah, give me a little bit about your sort of overall, like, was this did you recognize that this was going to be sort of a lasting memory that you would have?
Yes and no. Yes, in that I had never been on an operation with someone else that I had clicked so much with. Politically, as I said, priorities, all of our virtues kind of lined up, like our outlook on the war in Iraq and what we were doing, and our attitude toward fucking with everyone. Again, like I said earlier, I'm what a lot of people in Garrison would have called a shitbag. But when I was deployed, I was put on some of the most risky missions. I was put in with SEALs. I was put in with Green Berets. I was put in with not MARSOC because they didn't exist at the time, but I went out with first recon, second recon, third recon, and fourth recon, on all kinds, I mean, numerous operations because everyone knew I could handle my shit, you know. As I was telling you earlier, Lou, before we started shooting this video, if you look right up here, that right there is a coin that I got for my reconnaissance efforts. I was a I mean, I was a really good combat photographer when I was deployed. So I had been in country since February at this point in time, and I was going to be there until the next April. I think it because I was on a 14-month tour or something like that. It was a long ass deployment for us, and all of the grunts that I had been out with they all like to give us shit for being pogues, but it's just like you guys are about to go the fuck home. I have another deployment to do. I mean, it's just like you can fuck off with your stupid ass, sanctimonious attitudes about how much better you are than me. I'm gonna be here for twice as long as you are. You're gonna go home and then you're gonna have however much time, then you're gonna go on some booze cruise with a Mew, and then you're gonna go home for however long, and then maybe you'll come back to Iraq or Afghanistan before you EAS.
I do want to point out too, like our specific jobs too. When you are deployed for that long, you're basically doing a deployment of garrison pogue, but experiencing the same combat of an infantry marine
Yeah, I mean
constantly,
you've
right?
heard
And
us
so
talking.
it's two combat deployments
Yeah, well, I mean we were.
rolled into one. It's not 14 months chilling on the forward operating base and going to Pizza Hut and fucking
Yeah.
Subway and all that shit that Al Assad had, which by the way was nice when I would go. Yeah, I dipped. I was like, I heard they got fucking pizza here, bro.
What was that shit? Green bean
Oh, and by the
coffee.
way, that shit was nasty as fuck.
It was pretty
Oh,
hideous.
even by that standard, it wasn't like I ate it and was like, oh my God, this is fucking great. I
It
ate it and I was like, this is some knockoff nasty bullshit.
It was a bunch of American reject coffee that was made by Pakistanis in Iraq. How good could it have possibly been? You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
it was fucking terrible. But by that time I got with you, I had been on, like you were saying, I was at a regimental level. So every single operation that was going out, I was on. Every single one. Not just like here's one, here's one, here's one, and I was on one or two of them. I was on literally every single major operation in Al Anbar, in one way or another with whatever unit I was with. I had been with, at that point, I'd been with 2232, 325, first and second LAR. I'd been with the numerous recon units. I mean, I had worked with the Army as well. So by that time, it's hard to explain, but for lack of a better words, I was fucking jaded by everything that was going on. I was really just worn the fuck out. Plus everything that was going on politically in America with 9/11, everyone being against George Bush, everyone being against the wars, myself being against the occupation of Iraq. What the fuck sense did it make? It was funded by I'm just gonna fucking go there. I don't give a shit, dude. This is just me saying this. Just me. My opinions. It was funded by Israel, carried out by Saudis. You know what I'm saying? The same people who were standing in the White House with our fucking president. Um, I mean, 9/11 was a shit show, and everyone was looking to where to point the blame for a really long time. And being in Iraq made absolutely no sense to me personally. But I was there to do a job. I was proud to be a Marine. I'm still proud that I was a Marine. You can see fucking behind me that I'm proud I was a Marine. It's no secret. But everything that was going on, it was just really fucking with me. And all of the combat that I had seen at that point in time had not been fighting Iraqi people. I'd been fighting Saudis and Syrians, Jordanians, Pakistani people who were coming to Iraq to fight us. It wasn't Iraqi people. I wasn't in the first wave who fought the Republican Guard. I was there just fighting all of these nonsensical motherfuckers in civilian clothes. And that really wears on somebody. So I had no idea what I was doing, to say the least. I don't think any of us really did. If you were there thinking we were fighting for 9/11, then you were a fucking jackass. If you thought that we were doing anything other than fighting for oil, similar to what's going on in Venezuela right now, you were a fucking jackass. And I'm not a jackass. I never have been a jackass, except for when I was 17 and prior, growing up in the South and not knowing any better. Um, when I got to Iraq, it was eye-opening. By the time I got to hit with Lou for Operation Sword, I was so fucking worn out. I was so mentally worn out, physically worn out, patriotically worn out, constitutionally worn out. It was just a worn out sense of being. I had like Lou said, I had gone to Haiti before to secure our cheap sugar source, essentially, for our puppet government that had been overthrown by the citizens. And you think like when the citizens of a country overthrow the government, who's right? The citizens, right? Not according to the United States at the time. So I had gone and fought a bunch of citizens who were trying to overthrow the government for a better way of life, you know?
How dare you do what we do?
How dare I, you know? Um, how dare they?
Supposed to be us when we
Yeah,
want to do
yeah.
it.
How dare they? For we see the Boston Massacre, right? We see those guys as heroes. We see the Boston Tea Party. We see them as heroes. But now we say, hey, just follow the law, and no one will fuck with you. Like just capitulate, and everything will be fine. It's ridiculous. And I'm not gonna edit this out. This is going in the video because this is my personal beliefs. But by
Well,
the
and the thing
time,
is, it's happened time and time again, whether you look
yeah,
at Libya, Egypt. I
yeah,
mean, just go across the board and you can see. And then anytime that the United States gets involved in these types of situations where we are essentially removing a power that has been in place for however long, uh, with no contingency plan of what are we don't who are we going to replace them with?
we just
Is
abandon
are
them.
they ready for it? Is this an environment that's set up to be able to flourish in a democracy, or are we just going to give way to another corrupt system? Uh, because either that's what they know, or that's what's going to happen when you have a vacancy of power. You've got the little piranhas and the little
Yeah.
parasites that are going to fucking climb up out of their way to fucking become that, and gain that power. And so,
Imagine yourself as a straight white male in the South, and this is to our audience. Imagine yourself as a straight white male in the South, growing up as a Southern Baptist, being told that you're a righteous, everything that you do is right, everything you do is holy, everything you do is pure, and then getting out into the world and realizing otherwise. That was my existence up until I was 21 years old. I was a devout Southern Baptist and flag waving patriot. Anyone who's seen the movie Born on the Fourth of July will understand exactly what the fuck I'm saying. The whole love it or leave it attitude, I had that. I was that for a long time until I got to Iraq and I actually realized what was going on. I was living what was actually going on, and I was perpetuating what was actually going on. So while I did my job to my utmost, I was very aware of the shitstorm that I was stirring up. I was very aware of everything that was going on. All that to say, by the time I got to hit and during Operation Sword, I did not give a flying fuck personally. My morals were there and set. I had my own boundaries that I was willing to follow and reinforce, but as far as caring about my fellow man, especially those who were in full support of what we were doing, it was a fucking joke. And that's why I say in a big part, like when I was in Garrison, I was considered a shitbag. A lot of people didn't like me. A lot of people did like me. A lot of people looked up to me because of my attitude. But at the same time, anyone who was my superior did not like me because I was very much against what we were doing, and I didn't want to be a part of it. I didn't feel like it supported Marine Corps fundamentals. I didn't feel like it was falling in with honor, courage, and commitment. I didn't feel like Smedley Butler would be proud of us. I didn't feel like many, many, many things. Smedley himself, he wrote War is a Racket so we could avoid fighting for capitalism in a way, to spread capitalism just for capitalism's sake, just to make money. Um, I'm kind of digressing here. I understand that. To kind of wrap it back around though, my attitude was as I've explained, very lackadaisical. I was a good Marine in the sense that I was very on point when we would go on these patrols, when we were going on operations. But as far as who I was as a person, I didn't give a shit about what we were doing, and I knew it was nonsense.
And
I was
this is oh, go ahead.
no, go for it.
I was gonna say, and this is actually where I wanted to get to because I knew this is where you would eventually get at is that
Unpredictable, yeah.
no, 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 is that well, no, 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 because we've had many late night under the Iraqi stars conversations about this type of stuff. And so I knew that you were going to get to this ultimate point of both you and I. We did the job right. We're fucking Marines, man. We're gonna fucking get the goddamn job done. Um, but at the same time, both of you and I had a fuck it mentality, and I think that led to goats and cookies, and it eventually led to blood through the window, where it was like,
100%.
what are
Yeah.
we fucking doing here? This is a fucking, we're tired as fuck. We're exhausted. And anybody that's been in that situation where you haven't slept for fucking days because you're laying on fucking rocks, basically, with two poncho liners lined up in a one room that's gigantic, but it's two Marines laying on it, and I will get to that.
I
Talking
think
about fucking with Marines, Kevin and I, like, initially when we got to this unit, the first we had actually bounced around from a court, like what I saw in my stories, from Kilo Company. There was a little bit of Lima Company there. We bounced with them. We went to India. I mean, we went through a lot of this. We were Kilo Company for the majority of Sword, for the most part. Um, but yeah, one of the first nights there, actually probably the first night really. Um, we get back from patrol with this unit, and there we're fobbing up for the night, and we've got this like bombed out and depleted house, and all the Marines, of course, they're clicked up and everything like that. Kevin and I are just new to the unit, and so it comes like picking your sleeping area. Uh, all these rooms were like taken. We walked there, and I was like, "Oh, it smells like ass in here." Motherfuckers in here that didn't bring deodorant, like whatever it might be. We just like kept going room to room, and then we find this big ass empty room. Now, granted, I understand like when the sun came up, we were like, God, dude, it's gonna be bright as fucking here because there was no fucking front wall. Like
yeah,
it
it
was
was it was
all
gone.
gone. So basically, we were on a ledge, but like the room was, it was pretty freaking big. So, but at the
What
same
would you
time,
say? Like it was probably like 30 foot by 20 foot, right?
yeah, yeah,
It was
long. It was
massive. It was
long.
a
Yeah, it
big
was
fucking
long.
room. Yeah.
And so, we're like taking out our sleeping gear and shit like that. And I remember like just looking at and looking at the rubble on the floor. We didn't have like the floor had like a little bit of a finish, and you could brush some of the rubble away, but like for the most part, it was rubbled out. And I was like, damn, dude, it's gonna be uncomfortable as shit. And so we decided to just through our car was like, you mind stacking your shit, man? Dude, we can make like a nice little fucking got some comfort up here, man. We get a little some padding on here, so we stack our poncho liners. That got our whatchamacallit, our little fruit roll ups. Put those shits out. Fucking get as
Isomats.
much.
Yeah.
Yeah, the old isomats, yoga mats, whatever the fuck, and lay them out. And dude, it was just again like if you were to walk in this room, you're like, damn, they got all this room, and then it's like a little basically double twin bed, maybe a full. Uh, of betting here, and we had just dropped all our gear and shit, and I had been with one of Kev's colleagues, Neil, who was a combat camera as well on a like right before this operation actually, and he and I went way back to the schoolhouse and stuff, so we were very comfortable with each other. And where I was like, bro, can you just rub my shoulders and get these kinks out, bro? Like it's been carrying this gear around, and we would go back and forth. So I just like that was I think my initial like, I'm gonna test this dude out, and I was like, Kev, do you mind like give me a little shoulder rub here? And he didn't care. He was like, yeah, man, go ahead, because they had been doing that too. And I'm telling you, I don't give a fuck who you are. That shit was awesome. It like having all that stress and shit, and then just all that gear that you're carrying, and we were going back and forth. Now I've switched, and I'm like, I'm not just, you know, I'm, going to give back.
You got to
So
reciprocate.
I got to
Yeah,
reciprocate.
yeah.
So, I start rubbing Kev's shoulder, and at this moment, the platoon commander walks in and is just like sees me like rubbing his shoulders. We're standing on this our little makeshift marital bed
In a massive room.
in a massive ass room, and he just like looks and like, so, all right, well, we're gonna get up probably around 04:30 or whatever, and start packing up and shit, and might get some hot chow coming this way. Now, and by the way, anybody that knows that hot chow fucking run, dude, when you get that hot chow, whew,
It's not good, but it's
it's
good.
nasty. It's nasty as fuck. But just the fact that it's hot and it's fucking, like, man,
It's a
hats
tree
off to all
rat.
the cooks
Yeah,
out
yeah.
there.
Little tree
Um,
rats.
yeah, but yeah, so that was like the initial of us kind of fucking with them too, because we saw that platoon commander's face where he was like questioning him. It was like at the same time he was just like, all right, well, they are the artists of the Marine Corps, so I guess maybe. So I mean, it was little things like that where we are massaging each other's shoulders. I think like a couple nights later, because we were still in that same sort of fog, because we were like going out and then coming back. So we were doing patrols throughout the surrounding area and then coming back, and we were there probably like 3 or 4 days before we just started moving on from there. And then from there, we were just mobile the whole way. And so, yeah, it was little things like that. I remember a few nights later, we were laying on the mat together, of course, in our little makeshift marital Iraqi bed, and laughing our asses off on Team America World Police, and specifically the like fake Toby Keith fucking country song of like, what
What
would
would
you
you
do
do?
if freedom isn't free? Before we had to pay for any of that shit, but it's a hefty fucking fight. And we were
If you
just
don't pay your buck 05, who will?
well, and then we just kept going like back and forth on it, like the infidels came up and lit the skies up like the eyes of Allah.
I can still hear my goats screaming.
He was like, "Man," and then you always did the good quote thing. That was your shit. And then quoting Chappelle's show, which was awesome when when you and Zach came over up here to Richmond to visit, and you and I sat up late and rewatched some Chappelle show. It just brought back all the good memories.
I was
But
trashed, man.
oh, it was nice. It was nice. But yeah, so it was little things like that, and like, yeah, that same lieutenant walks in to give us like a briefing for the next day, where he's like, I think it was like, we're make sure you pack all your shit up, because we're heading out, and we're gonna just go house to house now. And yeah, he walks in and we're just giggling like two little schoolgirls on that fucking pillow talking. And, yeah, he still was like, I'm still not sure about you, dude.
They were
But
from
anyways,
Ohio, right?
yeah,
325.
they're just outside of Cleveland. which is interesting, and it actually leads into the next topic, which is blood
Cleveland,
through the
Oregon.
window. Cleveland,
Yeah.
Oregon, the mean streets of Cleveland, Oregon. So, all right, as you guys have gone through this with us, and now we are well beyond the end of Sword, Operation Sword, and or Saif. What was it? Saif?
It was sword.
Uh, well, yeah, but they always did like the Arabic version of it,
Oh yes.
right? So yeah, yeah, that's I had to write it as Operation Saif, and
Oh, SAIF, right?
SAI, yeah, SAIF,
Yeah.
yeah, Saif, and so yeah, we're beyond that now. I go back to 3-2. Kev goes on his way. We got called back to Al Assad for one reason or another. I think it was to announce like who the new PAO was, which turned out to be the combat camera person who Kev loves.
My fat
And
staff sergeant.
but it was only going to be for a few months, or not a few months, a few weeks until our new lieutenant came in.
I hope he sees this. I really hope he sees this and he knows that I think he was a fat piece of shit and I hated every minute that I spent with him.
What's up, dog?
Hey dog, can I bum a smoke?
He needed a friend, man. I felt, I,
Any of
hey, like I
Bro,
said,
any of you
man,
from New Hampshire, this guy ruined you for me. Like I hate everyone from New Hampshire I've ever met because of this motherfucker.
like I said, if you are listening, man, we weren't friends, but I
Never.
understood.
I was
He
never your
needed a
dog.
friend. He needed a friend, and he was lonely there. The Chow Assad, chowing it up every day.
He got so fat.
Oh, he was only walking like 10 feet a day, right? From COC where he
No,
lived.
he had a rolling chair.
Yeah. From COC to where he lived to the chow hall and back, and then maybe sometimes to the shitter, but never to the shower.
Never.
Motherfucker stunk like hell, dude. And I'm like, bro, we've been out there, and I can't wait to take a fucking shower
I
after
came back
3 weeks.
after 4 weeks of not showering and I could smell him over me. And he had
Yeah,
been in Garrison, but he had been in Al Assad that whole fucking time.
yeah. So again, so this actually sets up kind of like we're met with more bullshit, right?
Yep.
Been out there dealing with that bullshit, and now we come back, and now I get called back to Al Assad again for like the fourth time in this deployment. I'm like, 3-2 is starting to like wonder if I'm like actually their combat correspondent because you motherfuckers keep calling me back. Like, the 3-2, like my chain of command in 3-2, I was with the S1, which is the admin of any unit. If you ever hear S1, it's basically the admin. Um, and so I was attached to the admin, and I had a staff sergeant, and then, but he wasn't necessary. He was just kind of like I was on his roster to make sure that like I was where I he knew where I was, which he was just constantly like, I don't ever know where you are, so I just say that you're out in the field. And so then I have the adjutant, who is basically the battalion commander's secretary, assistant. I mean, I guess that's what we kind of call him. Um, right? I mean, am I describing that right? He's kind of
Bro, I don't
like
know PAO. I was an intelligence
no,
guy,
no, no, no,
buddy.
no. This isn't. But this isn't PAO. This is like the infantry structure, like the unit structure, the adjutant of the S1. Well, you guys were You were S2,
I was S3
S3,
operations, yeah.
training and operations. So, but you've got the adjutant, and then the adjutant reports directly to the battalion commander. So basically, that was my chain of command at 3-2 was I report directly to the adjutant, and then the adjutant reports to the battalion commander. So I was
I
one.
reported to Fat Beckstead. He reported to the S3 officer who was the OPSO, the operations officer, and he reported to the XO.
Yeah.
So yeah,
So
it was a similar chain of command, just on different sections.
So I was 1 degree separated from the battalion commander. Like I had access to him whenever I needed, and they made sure of that because they knew like, you're gonna need quotes from me all the time about different operations, especially when it's big shit. Um, and so yeah, I was like, damn man, I gotta call back from Al Assad again. The adjutant comes to me and he was like, they want you at Al Assad again, Friel. I don't fucking know why, and I'm like, God damn, dude, every time, like, because was already signed up to go out on another like 2 day patrol with Kilo Company, and I had to go to them and be like, "Hey guys, I got to go back to fucking Al Assad." And then of course I get the poke. They're still like, I'm really connected with them, at this point, but they're still like, "Well, bring me back some Subway, man." Like, here's my footlong board or whatever, blah blah blah. So I get called back, and so like I'm already fucking ticked off because now I'm about to miss out on another operation, which is also another story that I'm not going to be able to write. Doing all this fucking bullshit. So I was already ticked the fuck off, and I, got but the one like shining thing is that I knew that everybody was getting pulled back to
Everybody.
Al Assad, and so that I knew that you guys were going to be there, and I was like, oh man, I haven't seen Kevin fucking 2 3 weeks at this point since war ended, and yeah, I remember walking in, seeing you, and like we gave each other a big hug and kiss on the mouth.
We made out fucking hardcore, like porn style. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Other Marines were around, trying not to get hard.
I got to put a disclaimer here because I don't think most people know how homoerotic the Marine Corps is. Like, none of us, I mean, I can't say none of us. A lot of us aren't gay, but fuck if we don't act it. So that's just a disclaimer.
Yeah,
We didn't
there's
make out for real, but we'll say we made out.
I don't there definitely there is a lot of homophobia. I think just in the military in general, but I mean not as much as you might think though. I
This was
think
still during Don't Ask, Don't Tell.
this was during Don't Ask,
Obama
Don't
wasn't
Tell.
a thing yet, so.
Right. But I think at the same time, like, I mean, Kevin, correct me if I'm wrong. I'm like, we knew, right? You know who is gay in your unit,
Yeah,
right? Like, I mean,
we
because
made fun of
you
them.
know each other. It's not, it's
I
just
mean,
as
they're
much as I
still our
know that
brothers, they're still our sisters. Who cares?
it's basically the same as like me saying like I know you're from South Carolina and I know like you grew up in you know X circumstances or like I know this Marine came from sort of a broken family or whatever. Like it's like we just get to know each other and like it was like yeah, yeah, he's gay, cool, whatever. But yeah, but there was there's a level of homophobia, but somehow also one of the most homoerotic organizations also. It's
The
quite
truth of the matter is we're all autistic and we don't know how to express ourselves otherwise.
probably probably. But and I will say, of course, I'm very glad that the military and the country in general, despite a lot of things that are going on, has moved beyond the bullshit of don't ask, don't tell, and also it being illegal to be gay in the military because that's fucking bullshit.
Yeah. You shouldn't
And
lie. You
so
shouldn't have to lie about who you are to serve your fucking country. Period.
fucking exactly
Yeah.
like if you're fucking willing to put your goddamn life on the line, who gives a fuck about anything, right? Like any aspect of your um, personal life. Fuck. I mean, fuck all that bullshit. And anybody that thinks oddly, please unfollow this fucking channel because you're not gonna like anything else that we fucking say. So
Anyone who disagrees
peace.
probably never fucking served anyway, so suck a cock.
Leave us a comment so we can get the fucking
Yeah.
engagement.
Hey, follow and like us so that you can argue with us and tell us how much
Yeah,
you hate us.
you can hate watch us so we can so we can get those fucking numbers up and we can start getting some sponsors on this bitch.
Yeah, we need that.
But
Yeah, go ahead.
no. But anyways, yeah. So I was already fucking pissed, and then But one thing I did like, because where I was at with 3.2s, so even though I was with the S1, I had really gravitated toward the S3 during my time in the build up to Iraq and training in California. So I'd already gravitated them. So I had asked the staff sergeant of S1, like, can I just like live in their berthing? And he was like, all right, yeah, I don't have a fucking problem with that. Whatever. He was already just like, you're OFP, so just do what you want. Just make sure you check in with me. He's like,
Uh,
for muster and shit like that, and like formation.
OFP means own fucking program. It means
Oh,
you do
fucking,
whatever the fuck you need to do to get your job done.
yes,
Out
which
there
is
for the
a
for the
which is
audience.
a fucking beautiful place to be in,
Yes, it is.
not just in the military, but in the Marine Corps especially. Because once motherfuckers, especially higher ups, know you're on OFP, they treat you a different way. But anyways, so where we were living at in Al Qaim, which is a train station in western Iraq, about 20 miles from the Syrian border. The little berthing we'd fixed it up, and we had like little standing like AC units, yeah, unit, um, and it kept it cool. We made sure that we like insulated as much as we could. These are unfinished, like just shacks that they have. Like there's no insulation. We had to like kind of create our own to make sure that the cool air stayed in, the hot air stayed out, and all that good stuff. But going to Al Assad, they had these like makeshift like cans, right? Like rooms that are ice boxes, basically. They each have like a wall unit that feeds into this little, what, 10 by 10?
It wasn't even that. It was like 10 by 8, 10 by 7.
10 by 8, like, you know, basically, little room, right? And I always knew that I was going to either get my own or, just be up with, either Zach or Ken, who Ken has been on before, friend of the program, and Zach, friend of the program, but probably won't ever come on. But um,
We called them cans. Yeah.
yeah, they were cans, and I remember, we got there, and I was just like, man, fuck this, fuck all this bullshit, and we were just offletting of like, and so then one night we were talking. I remember I had taken up smoking at the time because cigarettes were free
Yeah.
and they were in plenty supply. And, there was just when there was downtime and it was fucking stressful. So, I was smoking cigarettes at the time. And I think you were as well.
Oh yeah.
And you and I were on the smoke pit and we're just like talking about sword and all that shit and still doing the goats and cookie stuff. And it was like, we started talking about something else. And I remember saying something about Shane. I was telling you, I think, a story about when we were in California with 3-2, and he was playing Nina 99 Luft Balloons
Yeah. Over
over
and
and over
over.
again. And we were both laughing at it.
It
And the
was
joke
either it
about
was either Nina or fucking death metal. It was one or
right.
the other.
And
Yeah.
that's where the joke like kind of came because he was like, it's so crazy that that's his favorite song in the world, but he loves death metal. And then we started joking back and forth about death metal. And then I was just like, it's basically just and then
Nah.
and thus came it was like, dude, we should just create our own fucking band. And then we went back, I think to it was your can, and you were living with Neil, right?
Yeah, I was with Neil.
And
First Sergeant Neil.
for yeah, this hats off to Neil, man. What a great
Crazy.
career, what a great dude.
Yep.
Um, that motherfucker was Marine Corps all the way. If
Yeah.
I had ever, I think anybody that ever met him, if I had to say like who
Quintessential Marine. Yeah.
the quintessential Marine was, it's Neil, and that's not in any like slight or anything. I'm not being ironic when I say that. I say that with all the fucking respect in the world because I love that fucking dude.
Yep. Same.
Um,
Same.
and yeah, so and we knew it was going to be a fucking problem with him when we went back to the can to like film it. It was we were like I remember we went from the smoke deck back to the can and was like, dude, we gotta do this. We gotta film this. And I was like, ooh. And I remember us talking about we can do it mockumentary style of like we're a band and then we hate each other, like VH1 behind the music type thing. Because that was, VH1 behind the music at the time was still, it was phasing out, but it was still relatively relevant. And yeah, we decided to do this, create this fake band and create essentially what would, if we put it all together, we probably could create a really good behind the music. And we have all the files, so I'm actually thinking about maybe busting out the old Premiere and
Absolutely should.
putting that together with nice British accent overlay narration. And so yeah, we get back to their can and just throw on just random shit. I got on like my beanie, which I actually still have to this day. My head's fucking fatter now, so barely fits. I look like a little like got the wrong size condom on my head, and um, yeah, it just became what it became, and this is I think that what we're getting at this episode is that when stress levels are high, these outlets for us, as goofy and as terrible and as we're gonna watch this together, by the way, and it's gonna be cringe. Kevin and I are gonna stop it along the way and give you a little insight, but I think just in general, it this shows the type of goofiness that happens, and Kev will say this, and I've said this too. These are the best moments of my life. I look back on this and smile, like so much, and even though it's very cringe and it's very
It's pretty
what it
fucking
was for the time,
great.
I will say that it's still one of the best moments of my life. Just because we were creating something out of frustration and exhaustion and fucking anger for the situation that we were in, but at the same time, respect and adulation for each other. We did not realize what it was going to become, which we'll get into a little bit later. But yeah, Kev, if you want to chime in a little bit on
Oh yeah, of course. So
where how we got to this point and where we got.
at this point, we had gotten back from Operation Sword. It had been a few days. You said a couple weeks. I don't think it was that
I,
long.
yeah, I don't think I think I say like time.
I think it was like 4 days.
Yeah,
And I could not sleep. I just couldn't. It had been so long. I had like a month from showering, a month from any sort of normalcy. Being out for that long kind of just stripped away any sense of fucking humanity, and that's why we were doing goats and cookies in the first place. We were fucking with people and doing whatever we did is because it made us feel human in some weird, strange way. But when I got back to Al Assad, I couldn't sleep for days. I couldn't at all. And we decided to come. I mean, everything Lou just explained, we just came up with the blood through the window because of Shane and all of his death metal. Um, the first lyrics I think is, we hate Keller's music. We don't like it. And we can't understand any of their words or something like that. When we bring it up, I shouldn't have said his last name, but we hate Shane's music, I should say.
he'll be on eventually.
Well, you couldn't understand a fucking thing I'm saying because I'm screaming at the top of my lungs into my pistol, which I'm holding in my hand. And then it evolved over the songs and the interviews that we did. Our costumes evolved, our attitudes evolved, and we ended up. Do you remember we tried to do a rap video too, like a Beastie Boys type thing, and it just flopped
It
completely.
was gonna be it was gonna be like again. So so everyone understands, like the whole premise behind it was a VH1 behind the music thing. We were going to do all these stages of our life as a band, and then it was going to be like we broke up, and like one of us went off and did like a rap fucking career or try to have a career in rap, and the other one like was still trying to do like a solo act or something.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We really could, more than anything, I couldn't sleep. And I think most of these videos that we shot were at like 2 a.m. And we like neither of us could fucking sleep at the time. After seeing everything that we had seen, doing everything that we had done, um, I was physically, mentally, and spiritually exhausted. I was so fucking done with the world at this point. And when we started doing this, it made me feel like me again. So in retrospect, I can say I kind of invested myself in it in a way that I wouldn't have otherwise because of how exhausted I was. I hadn't slept in probably a week and a half, more than maybe an hour or two a night, interrupted sleep where I was just waking up every 5 minutes, looking for my rifle, waking up every 5 minutes, looking for my battle buddy, waking up every 5 minutes, looking for whatever, being paranoid as hell. Everything was just really fucked. And again, in retrospect, I think it was PTSD, immediate PTSD. It wasn't like long term. This is just what came of so many operations and so many deployments just in such a short span of time during the global war on terror,
and
where we
I
were
will.
terrorists.
Well, I will say the waking up and looking for your rifle thing. I think that's something that we all like experience. I think
Yeah. I still do that shit sometimes, man. I still do. I'm 42.
especially
Well,
that's definitely an immediate aftershock.
yeah.
I remember my family had all come for 3-2's homecoming, and I was one of the first waves, even though I was one of the last people to leave Iraq. I was one of the first people to leave Kuwait.
Mm.
So I was on one of those first flights back. And so my family like thought I was going to be later and then had to like change plans and all come down. But anyways, I remember they had, we had all stayed in, they had gotten like a hotel somewhere nearby. I think maybe, um, man, I don't know, somewhere nearby in Jacksonville, North Carolina. But we were all, staying in kind of the same room area, and I had gotten up like looking for my rifle, and my brother-in-law had actually like woken up because I woke him up like freaking out, and he was
Yeah.
like, Lou. I gotta find my fucking rifle. I don't know where the fuck it is, and he's like, Lou, you're home. You're home. You turned your rifle in, like you're, and yeah. So yeah, I remember that specifically.
Yeah, I think most Marines who deployed in those times where you had a rifle for a year plus, even like 6 months plus, like it's something that we're always looking for. It's something that's once you're without it, you feel fucking naked. I think a lot of guys, I see a lot of veterans carrying a knife on their hip, and I think that's what it is they're missing their rifle and
Always ready.
they need something, whether it's a knife, whether it's a bolo necktie, whether it's something, whatever that they have that they keep up with in that same mentality. It's the same.
Yeah.
But anyway, what I was getting to was I hadn't slept in days, and you showed up. And it was like, oh, it's my guy. And we hugged and we made out for a little bit. And then we started dancing, slow dancing to Celine Dion. And
I was happy to be around you. I think we both like ended up being wired because
yeah,
it's like family reunion type
yeah,
shit. Even though it
exactly.
had only been like either 4 or 5 days or a week or so.
So we were making fun of Shane's music one day, and you brought up like, hey, we should come up with our own death metal. And we invested everything that we had. As I said, I hadn't slept. I hadn't rested. I was delirious in so many ways. And we really poured our all into this fucking shit. And it was all improvised. I think that's the most impressive part because you started going blah 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 blah, and I was just like screaming to the top of my lungs at 2 a.m. or 1 a.m. or whatever it was. It was some AM. And I had my pistol in my hand, holding it by the barrel in the slide, screaming into where the magazine well. And I had, I think, an Iraqi flag on my head, which, again, if you've seen Zach's videos of my interviews, I've explained all of that part where I got the flag, how I came to have it, and why I put it on my head. And eventually, I think not the first video, but the second video, I put a sock on my arm. And like, I mean, we just kind of morphed into some stupid shit. But I was really kind of impressed, and I still am to this day at how well we fed off of each other for this dumbass video where we had not planned at all, and we just started going into it because we
Oh,
we
they will see that we didn't plan shit.
but while we didn't
One take, straight
you can
through.
tell while we didn't plan shit that it actually came together really well because the guitar riffs and the amazing lyricists. I mean, I was amazing. I was putting down the best fucking lyrics any music has ever had in the history of music. It came together really well, and we came up with that song. And then we came up with every metal band has a slow song where it's slow and kind of pretty and melodic. And we came up with one about fucking sheep. I think it was a sheep named Cecilia. And we fucked a sheep named Cecilia in the said song. And it was just like completely crass. And I mean, it was just horrible. But and at the time it was really funny. And when I watch it now, I'm laughing while I'm cringing. I never don't laugh.
And by the way, while we are not into bestiality, like that idea came from a like night vision aerial footage of some Iraqi dudes,
Gentleman, a gentleman
gentlemen, finding love in the sheep.
making love. He was making love.
Yes. Yeah. And these types of videos were on our little server. And so we decided to go through that. And I don't think it was initially and again we're gonna get into this, but I don't think we were gonna do anything really with this video other than put it together, which it still is in its unedited form with a lot of small videos, which I really am thinking about putting together into the VH1 behind the music and which I really want to do now. Now that we've had this episode and we're talking about it. But I don't know, Kev, are you ready? Like, do we go?
Man, share that.
Do we
Let's watch.
go?
This song was called, this was our very first attempt, our very first song. It was called Broomstick Tragedy. And I'm sure when you watch it, you'll understand the broomstick aspect of it. And the tragedy was the experience experience of
It's
it.
everything that you're about to go through.
Yeah, so
But
go
also
for it,
that
man.
a lot of the death metal bands are very like dramatic in that sense of saying like, and that's where Blood Through the Window came. Like everything was like, not to throw them out there, but like as I lay dying, or like, my heart is on fire and it's fucking bleeding. Fucking the names of some of these bands and shit. So, and the songs are always super long titles. Um, so yeah, Broomstick Tragedy. Yeah, won't you come with us from the smoke pit now? Experience this moment. We're going from the smoke pit straight into filming,
Before
and
we watch it, I'm very
here,
sorry.
here it is. And yeah, God help us all. So we'll go. We'll get into our little share mode here. Make sure all right.
Oh man,
And
so this is in the can that we were talking about in the little 10 by that looks like 10 by what, like 7? Yeah, 10 by 8, something like that.
yeah,
That's my rifle laying on the wall over there, by the way.
and I'm in skivvies. Uh, my beanie, and yeah, here we go.
Up in the world now, we have a tripod. Yes, 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 yes,
God.
yes,
Yes.
yes, yes.
I wanted to make sure I
a,
showed my
I need
tattoos
a,
by pulling my sleeve up.
I need a gun. That's what I need. I need a gun. What? All right, all you bitches out there, with blood through the window. Blood through the window. That's who we are. You, all of you. Oh. Blood through the window.
Is he plugging in the cord?
We hate bird music. We don't like it.
Yeah.
They scream all the time.
All right, I'll stop here really quick. Let's discuss what has happened thus far. We're almost halfway through the video. Um,
I'm
yeah,
sorry again.
yes, but it's so I remember like the one of the reasons I said that I had like pulled my sleeve up to show my tattoo is because I saw what your sleeves look like, and I was like, I want to make sure that they know like I've got tattoos too.
We're equally as hard.
We're equally as
That was
hard.
my only. I think no, I had two tattoos at that point. I had one on that shoulder and one on the other shoulder. And I mean, I'm covered now, obviously, but like at that time, I only had a couple, and yeah, I wanted to show them off because I thought I was fucking hardcore.
So anybody wondering what the wah like, like if you've ever listened to death metal, they have unsettling. There's always something that's unsettling in the music that they generate, right? Like there's either like some loud fucking thing that's happening in the background or anything. So the wah, that's where that came from. And like I was an emo kid, right? Like I grew up in the emo phase, but I liked pop punk and shit like that. But that all derives, for the most part, from like screamo and metal. And so I was familiar with just like the normal sounds of any sort of record that came out of that genre. But yeah, wait till I get into the fucking slides, dude. It's fucking here we go. Ready?
All you people listening, you need to know. You need to know. You need to know who we are. We're buzzing who we are. You, Keller, Sheep, you know who we are. You know who we are. 10 people. Oh, damn.
I felt scared.
There's my sheep noise. Dang.
We're counting at that point, right?
We counted and then we did the ABCs.
One more time. We gotta do it one more time. The audience loves us. We love them too. Listen to them screaming. Listen to them screaming.
That's Kelly, but that's Shane in the
We
background.
love you, Dad.
Cleveland, we love you.
Stay
There's the slide.
I'm having sex with sheep at this point.
I've run out of shit at this point. And this is where I'm telling you, like, you gotta take it up.
Walking to the grocery store quietly,
You'll watch it.
listening. We've been cut off.
So fucking angry.
So at that point, Neil had come into the room and told us that we were being way too loud
And just shut the fuck up.
and that we needed to, because again, this was like 2 a.m. And you know, you can see the walls on either side of our can here. There were people on the other side.
There's other cans, yeah. It's a row.
Of either
Big
side
ass
of the
row.
trying to fucking sleep at 2 a.m. And I'm like screaming my fucking face off and he's you know, and I'm talking about walking quietly to the grocery store and fucking sheep. So this was absolutely obnoxious to anyone that was around us at the time.
I do also want to put out a disclaimer too. This is substance-free entertainment that you're getting. Like we didn't have anything here. There's nothing fueling this other than what we've talked about.
Delirium and you know, just
Anger and
PTSD.
fucking-
Oh man.
So we've got about we got a few seconds left here, but yeah, we've been cut. And so now we want to make sure we didn't end it. We got to take it home.
All right.
All the time. Now. All the time.
Yeah, the fact that one, was next level shit. That's the
Say I'm
greatest way to
brilliant.
end.
I'm brilliant.
Greatest way to end any video. But notice that I also, and it's not to build me up, but I zoomed in on the broomstick to give you that last strum of the string that does not fucking exist.
And I gotta ask you, how many strings did that guitar have?
About 1 million.
And that'll be in a future video because we actually did MTV interviews, MTV style interviews where we talked to each other about like I think I interviewed you, you interviewed me, and then we did fan interviews where Shane came in and was one of our fans and he was talking about it. So
Because again, the whole idea was that we were eventually going to put this together in a VH1 Behind the Music
yeah.
package. And then,
Much
again,
like
that's
Kristen Phillips.
where the rap shit came in later. Like,
I'm really
after their
I
breakup,
think
they
we
both
were trying to
experiment.
do some Beastie Boys type shit, and we were like,
Yeah.
what you want?"
Yeah. Oh yeah,
It
yeah,
was
yeah. That,
terrible.
It wasn't. Yeah, it wasn't that we ventured off on our own. It was that we were trying to recreate like the same vibe and stuff, and it was like, but we wanted to evolve with the times. So like everything was literally like, again, just go back and watch any VH1 Behind the Music. We were trying to like follow that timeline to a T
Yeah.
where we like peaked. And then we were just trying to like grasp onto whatever fame we had. But yeah, the interviews that we did, like when I interviewed you, I pretended to be like a British reporter from the BBC, and then you pretended to be somebody else from, some like
I was bad at it.
No, it was great though. But yeah, that's where the like Cleveland, Oregon thing came from. It was like there's so much aggression in your music. where does that come from? And you were like, it comes from my upbringing. And again, and you did the voice, you almost did the voice of like the eyes of Allah. Like it was like and both of us tapped in, I think, to a lot of that, but of like when you were like, yeah, that anger comes from the times that I grew up on the mean streets of Cleveland. And then there's a pause and you go, Oregon.
Cleveland, Oregon.
So again, man,
Uh,
dude, what a great treat for us to watch that with you guys. What a terrible treat for you guys. You're probably tasting some. This is the hot chow of the episode. That's what it is. All right. So like, how does all this stuff like become culture, right? Like the funny stuff, it doesn't stay a joke. It gets repeated, written on walls, turned into shorthand, and pressed down to the next unit. But it sticks because the people that were there, right? The people that belong there were there, and Marines have been doing this forever. Different wars, same behavior. It might be blood through the window on one thing, or it might be like Bubba hunts, which is also me. But or something else, that they might have just done just to relieve the stress. And how it becomes culture. I think this is a kind of a good little segue into maybe just the last little part here as we wrap this episode up. Kev, tell us about how that blood through the window kind of took off locally in Al Assad.
so it absolutely did. First and foremost, Fat Beckstead showed it to everyone, including the fucking RCT Sergeant Major and XO. And I was pretty upset about that. Like, I remember I got back and he was like, "Yeah, Sergeant Major thought it was funny as hell," and I was like for real, fucking fatbacks that you like. I didn't say that. I was like, for real, Staff Sergeant, you showed it to the Sergeant Major. Like, what are you thinking? That's gonna get me in trouble. And he started going in on the okay, Corporal McCall, like you need to fucking blah blah blah. And it was just like, okay, whatever. But I will say, regionally, it
Do you
became
remember getting pulled up into their office?
no, they never fussed at me about it. They never said a thing about it.
Okay.
They thought it was hilarious and they just kind of rolled with it. Luckily, I never got in any trouble, but I was definitely singing into my fucking sidearm, and that could have gotten me into some deep shit. This that alone.
By the way, for those of you out there, we did clear the weapon before we did that.
Well, yeah, there was no magazine into it because I wouldn't have got the same reverberation had I sang into with a magazine. But I sent these videos to my family. My brother, who I don't talk to for reasons at this point, he shared it with everyone in my hometown. And fucking everyone in my hometown saw these videos and they loved it. Like it became popular as hell in Al Assad. It became popular as hell on the NipperNet, which is it's the non-secured internet protocol that we had throughout the bases. I'm sure it became something on the SIPRNet as well, but on the NipperNet we all had a share drive that anyone that was on that network could access
Yep.
this. And we may or may not have had like thousands of movies and TV shows that we could all watch. Hypothetically, it could have existed. Anyway,
It was essentially a share drive
yeah.
for
And Blood Through
and
the
then
Window
like
was
on the
definitely,
intranet.
yeah, Blood Through the Window was definitely on there. There are a bunch of videos that we made, not just Broomstick Tragedy, the song that you just saw, but we made a few that were pretty, pretty, I mean, they were all fucking gold, if you ask me. Everyone absolutely loved them, but in my hometown of Piedmont, South Carolina, um, to Greenville, the city next door, everyone saw that shit. I went back. I remember after I got back from Iraq, I went to visit my brother at his work, and I walked in, and I went up to the help desk that was in his company. I'm not gonna I'm not gonna list it, but it's a big price tag that says best something, and he worked at the Geek something. So that'll kind of give it away. Anyway, I walked up
The
to the help
place that
desk.
you go to buy things.
Yes. And the squad that you would go to fix things. So I went up to the help desk and I asked them, I was like, hey, is Hugh, my brother, is Hugh here? And they were like, are you K-Mac? And I was like, holy shit, yeah. And they were like, whoa, we've seen all your videos. That's amazing. And like five or six people came up to me and they were all talking to me about it. So like all of them had seen it. Numerous people saw this. It was on YouTube for a while. It got buried eventually, and I think at the time YouTube was a different animal than it is now.
The
So
I think the whoever had that account too deleted it, so all
probably.
the videos got wiped out.
Yeah, I don't know who it was who put it there, but someone had put it there and it had millions of views. Like, I mean, so many people had watched it. So it definitely got around. You know, a lot of people had seen it. A lot of people would walk around I would walk around Al Assad and run across people and they'd be like, "Hey, are you K-Mac?" And I'd be like, maybe. Like, who are you? Are you some fucking soldier that I stole stuff from? Or you're because we again hypothetically may or may not have stolen things from the army regularly.
You're adrift.
But yeah, exactly. Because
Your adrift is a gift.
they'd park their Humvees outside of our chow halls with their weapons just unsecured in them. And I'm not saying I did anything, but somebody probably did. Um, Well, they would come up to us, Army, Air Force, Navy, whatever, and they would come up to like many people approached me asking me about like the blood through the window videos. They would see me and be like, "Hey, I don't know how the resolution's going to come through with what we just watched it being streamed and everything, but you can actually see our faces in the original videos. You can see all of the detail. You can tell who we are, and who we are is blood through the window.
Yeah. Yeah, and I had similar experiences too with like when 3-2 was leaving Iraq. I was with them, and I I was on like the last wave actually to leave Al Khan. And we thought that we were like I was with the battalion commander because the battalion commander was always going to be the last one to leave. That's sort of a kind of ceremonial thing. But yeah, I remember getting to Al Assad like right before we were heading back to Kuwait, and we were the last. So everybody from 3-2 was already in Kuwait, ready to go back home, and we were so far behind them, like a week behind them almost, and it's like 25 of us, I think, on this. We called it the battalion commander's crew. And of course, me, I was like last added to the manifest and everything. And yeah, I'm walking through the chow hall at Al Assad, and some Lance Corporal comes up and is like, "Hey, blood through the window, right?" And then just like decided to invite himself to lunch with me. So, and just talked about it. He's like, "It's fucking hilarious. Why'd you guys come up?" And just asking all this stuff. And, I realized like how much that little goofiness for us to like relieve the stress was also important for other people to relieve their own stress. And I'm glad it got where it needed to go. I'm
Yeah.
glad Fat Beckstead decided to put it on, uh, on the shared drive and everything like that. So, man, like what an interesting, what an interesting way to get Al Assad famous. But we talk about all this stuff, and I think there are times where civilians might miss the point. Um, a lot of people might look at this stuff and look at it as like dark or disrespectful. We're talking about fucking sheep and shit like that. but it's not. It has nothing to do with that. It's how people cope with extreme stress. You don't have to get it. It's not for you to get, but if you've experienced it, you get it. Not everything is for everybody. You might like Game of Thrones, you might hate Game of Thrones. A lot of the people that I know that don't like that is just because there are dragons in it. So like it's that type of thing. You don't have to get it, but you just have to understand that it mattered to us and the people living that experience at the time. And at the end of the day, there is no weed, no beer, no whiskey. It is just cookies and goats, goats and cookies. It's written both ways, but it is just goats and cookies. And somewhere in there, a death metal band with a broom, a pistol, and a vision that we were going to create a mockumentary. And every unit has their own version of this. And that's Field-Expedient culture. Thank you all for joining us. Again, like, share, subscribe, share with your friends. Let them know you follow Goats and Cookies. And as always, I'm Lou. Been great getting to host this one. There's Kev. We will be joined next episode by Zach when we talk about some, current events. So we're going to go with that. Signing off, y'all. Later on.